Hey there everybody, it's Nathan Cool with nathancoolphoto.com, and in this tutorial I want to show how you can do sky swaps on your window pulls so that you can get good views outside taking something that looks like this and turning it into something that looks like this. Now this does take some added effort, and it might not be for everybody in every shoot. For instance, if I'm shooting something that's a simple tract home and I can't get a good view outside on a stormy day, I just might blow the windows out. A window pull is not always necessary even on the sunniest days, and so sometimes, especially if you're in a hurry on a lower end priced shoot that you're not really getting paid to do all the extra work for, then you might not do that. But there are some houses that do require it. That example, for instance, was from a Lake Sherwood home. Very expensive. It was about a $2.5 million listing, and that particular office there was worth the view. That's the $1 million view. So one of them throughout the house. It was very important though, even though it was a very overcast day, that we can still see the hills that are surrounding the area, but we want to have some good clear skies. So there's a technique to do this. It's very similar to doing the sky swaps that I show throughout my books. And what I'm going to do here is cut to the chase on a few of these things and then get right into the nitty-gritty of how to do this particular technique. You won't need any of my books for this, but it wouldn't hurt. And if you are interested in that and some of the other essentials as far as my free videos that'll be related to other things that I'll be talking about throughout this video, I have a link to all those things in the description for this video. So without further ado, you want to see how this is done? Let's get started. So here's everything included. This is where we've got just about everything. The fire will be added later, but this is at a point in the processing where I had just added the sky swap window pull. So let's review everything that I had for this footage. I'm going to start doing this here by turning some layers off. Now this was using that Flash-ambient technique and also standard window pulls, things that I have throughout the other videos that I've got down in the description for this video, and also you'll find throughout my books. But some of those videos will help you through if you've never seen that done before. So let's take a look here at everything. So first thing is, this is the flash shot. And this was just done with a speed light. You gotta love shooting in white rooms. It didn't hardly take any light at all to be able to knock out the ambient. Up above it is my ambient shot. Now this is at a 70% opacity. If I was at 0%, this is what it looked like, and luminosity mode. I could turn it into normal mode, but you see that there's some orange stuff coming in. So as I do in all the flash ambient stuff, I always have this layer as luminosity, but using that 50-50 trick, then I start lowering that opacity. This was 50%, 60%, and I thought about 70% looked good for this. Now there's some touch up that I might want to do out the window here. What we're really interested here though is this big view out here. Not so much worried about that, maybe just change the color a little bit, and of course fire in the fireplace. Let's get started though on where it really counts. First thing is you do a standard window pull. So this is the standard window pull. Here, as you notice, I've got it in darken mode. Let's turn it into normal so you see what I was doing. You can see I was just pointing that speed light directly at that window at an angle, but no matter what I did, in a room like this, you're gonna get reflections. But the important point here is for this particular shot is we're gonna do a darken mode window pull to get the edges. And you've seen throughout my other window pull examples and through the books is that I use a repair layer, and that repair layer is gonna become very important for doing this sky swap technique in that window. So let's turn that layer mask back off. So here I just used then darken mode on this, and boom, all that overexposed stuff went away. We had to fix though all of this stuff inside of here, so we've got those reflections. But if we take a look at the repair layer, I'm gonna get in there a little bit more for you. Sorry about that. So if we get in close and take a look at the repair layer, which repaired that, this is nothing but the same exposure as the flash shot, and you can see without using flash, I'm still getting reflections. That's the nature of the beast. That's just what windows do. They reflect. So you are going to get some of that. I don't want any added stuff though that was added from my darken mode window pull, which there's a lot. So that was then just cutting some of that in there, but it's done with that technique that I've shown before, where you don't have to get really close to the edges, just kind of get close and then just brush in a little bit of that selectively. We're going to do something very similar now for this technique. So this is the sky swap that I put in, and up above it to make it blend a little better I used an adjustment layer. We're going to cover these two things in this video. So let's zoom back out here and let's grab a sky. So with this sky, this is one of my favorite sky swaps. I'm just going to select all that, copy it, and I'm going to bring that over as another layer. And simple way to do that is just paste it. Boom, there we go. Now I'm going to change the opacity that down to 50%. And that's going to be important throughout this. First step though, I like to have that kind of opacity to see where I'm going to position it. I'm going to scale that first. So go ahead and select scale, and that can be from where you go to the edit menu and scale. And you scale that where you need to. So put that into place, and there you go. Now, it's good to have a sky swap that has some clouds in it. You can see what I'm doing here is I'm positioning so that some of those clouds are going to be over those windows because it's going to be white outside, so this will help blend some of those edges a little bit better. The more clouds, for this case, the better. Also will give it a more natural look. Okay, so now what we want to do is put a layer mask on this. We'll go layer, mask, hide. Leave that at 50%, totally fine. Now what we want to do is we want to select the area where only the sky would be. We can do it very roughly with using a polygon tool. So instead of selecting all around the windows, I'm going to select here where I think that sky should be. It's very rough once again. And I'm going to not include a lot of that wall because when I do that select color, like we do with other sky swaps, I don't want it to pick up any of that accidentally, any glare. So using the polygon tool, I can also get this up here, make sure that you've got this selected up here, and that's going to be able to then add to the selection. So I'm just going to do that real quick. I'll just add some more polygon up here and get around that window. As you can see already, there is a bit of effort going into this. It's not a very quick thing that you would do for just every single MLS type of shoot. So you got to be selective. Is it worth your time to get paid to do this extra effort? Okay, this house was. Okay, so now we've got that all selected. That's good. Now comes in the repair layer. So this, remember, was a flash shot. Turn off the layer mask. A non-flash shot, I should say, at the same exposure as the window pull that was taken with the flash. Turning that layer mask off and then going to that layer itself, now I've got a better way of selecting those bright colors of those clouds without it selecting then the rest of the wall or the surrounding frame. So while selecting that layer, not the layer mask, make sure it's just disabled, go to the layer and go to select menu, and then you want the color range up here. So select color range. Now you can see I've already selected it once, but the idea here is that you would select inside of here one of those colors and then take the plus symbol and select all the other ones so you have all those different colors. You want to make sure you don't hit the trees or something else, and you can already see it's got a good outline here. You can adjust the fuzziness how you want, and even as I get really fuzzy on that, I've got such a great separation of where the colors are that it's showing up really well. So let's just leave it at that and click OK. Now we've got a good selection. Disable that layer mask. We don't need it disabled anymore, so let's just go ahead and enable the layer mask, I should say. Go back up to the layer mask on our sky layer. Make sure the colors are swapped. Hit X on your keyboard, and you'll notice that then they go black and white over here instead of white or black. Then all you have to do is press the delete key. Boom, there's your sky. Do Control E to deselect. Now, there's a few things you can do at this point to make that look better. So one of the things you can do, like I do on standard sky swaps, you can erase a little bit off the bottom. But first, let's see how unnatural this would look if I didn't have the opacity at 50%. I'm going to bring the opacity up to 100%, and that just looks cartoonish. It's not real. When you look through a window that's especially got reflections, they're tinted, they aren't going to have those clear views of the sky. Plus I got some edges here. I didn't do a feathering or anything else. Didn't need to if I was at 50%, which then makes it look like this. Let's go even to 60%. That's not too bad. If I did that, I might take an eraser at about a 10% flow and go over those hillsides. Just real quick, a little bit. Had the wrong colors there. Just erase right over those hillsides. That brightens up that horizon a little bit. The other thing, like I added up here on the example before we started, was I would add an adjustment layer. So you can go to like a brightness layer by going layer, adjustment layer, brightness, and then add a clipping mask by clicking this little doodad here. And that makes sure that this now applies only to the layer below it, which will be our sky. So here I can adjust the brightness a little bit, maybe adjust some contrast, whatever it is that I want to do. So without that adjustment layer, it looked like this, and here it pumped it up a little bit. You could use like a levels adjustment layer, a curves adjustment layer, whatever you want. But anyways, if we go back again, we started out with something that looked like just this. That was our flash shot. We added our Flash-ambient blending. So far so good. When we had our window pull, we got a lot of reflection, so we added some repair into that, but we still need a better sky, so we just added in our own sky swap with an adjustment layer, and the final shot looked like this. So remember, the window pulls themselves aren't always necessary. When you're shooting high-end properties, a view outside is almost going to be imperative on every single shoot. And you can't always pick the weather, but you can pick the skies. Shoot as many skies as you can for sky swaps, not just for doing this, but also for standard skies as well. Anyways, I hope this tutorial was useful for you and that you can use some of this in your photography as well. If you did like this video, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It won't cost anything, and as soon as one of these videos is posted, you'll be the first to know. Thanks a lot for watching. Until next time, take care, be safe, and get out there and shoot something.